You're watching Global Watch on CGT, and now we turn to Hong Kong. The High Court in the city has granted an extension of the injunction order restricting protesters inside the airport. Despite that, protesters still plan to head to the airport on a Saturday, taking different methods of transportation in order to put pressure on local traffic. For more on the latest situation in Hong Kong, let's cross live to our reporter Go Yunfei in the city. And Yunfei, you've been following the situation very closely. How's the traffic flow in and out of the airport?
Hi, Panda. Right now, there are few signs of a large gathering of demonstrators at the Hong Kong International Airport. We know that previously there were some messages circulating online on the social media, on the instant messaging groups, calling for a stress test to the different measures of transportation to the Hong Kong International Airport. But so far, it seems like that it did not happen. Indeed, according to some local media, there were some protesters heading for the Hong Kong International Airport, but according to them, they are still not sure what to do next. So they said they will wait and see at the airport. But to touch upon more about this topic, we're joined by Barrister Lawrence Ma, who is also the Executive Council Chairman of Hong Kong Legal Exchange Foundation. So, Lawrence, we know that the protesters in Hong Kong are now employing a new tactic to dodge or circumventing the court order or the permission from the police of demonstrations. So what's your take on this?
Well, it is fortunate that the High Court of Hong Kong has decided to continue the injunction previously granted to the Hong Kong International Airport Authority to prevent protesters from going inside the airport compound to conduct or perpetrate unlawful assembly and riots. So what they have done is they have asked for or promulgated the stress test, which means that they all swarm the transportations, the airport express trains, airport express buses going to the airport. They want to swarm the transportation so as to prevent people going into the airport and coming out from the airport. Now that was their plot, but it seems from this morning we can see that their plot has been demolished, or in a way that they did not carry it forward, because maybe it seems that they don't have sufficient support or manpower to commit that offense.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Back to you, Pandong.
Well, Yunfei will be getting back to you for more on the situation in Hong Kong, but now let's get more updates. More than 500 taxis, each carrying the Chinese national flag, have taken part in a rally in Hong Kong on Friday, calling for order to be brought back to the city. Drivers also put up signs saying "Love China, Love Hong Kong" on their cars to show support. The rally on Friday night was organised by a civil group and the Hong Kong Taxi Drivers and Operators Association. Some demonstrators are urging the Hong Kong community to jointly oppose violence and restore social order as soon as possible.
The lives of taxi drivers depends on the peace and stability of Hong Kong. The worsening situation has affected the livelihood of taxi drivers, reducing the income of many by more than 50%.
Our income has decreased by more than half. This is a deadly blow to me. I have family counting on me. We gather here today hoping people can calm down and communicate more peacefully.
However, as taxi drivers were holding a peaceful rally, some rioters tried to stop them and removed the national flag. Hong Kong's transportation officials have issued a statement asking protesters to stop violent behaviour and be more considerate about the situation in the city. The statement says that recent violence has made it difficult for public transportation to operate, leading to a decrease in the drivers' income and hurting their livelihood. Now let's go back to our reporter Go Yunfei in Hong Kong. Yunfei, let's talk about this another incident on tarnishing the Chinese national flag. And did the Hong Kong police take any measures against the rioters who tried to remove the national flag?
Hi, Pandon. It just happened last night, so far the police hadn't identified any suspect of committing such crimes. Last night I was at the Causeway Bay. It was very interesting to see that on one side there was thousands of protests hand in hand, forming a human chain, voicing their demands and anti-government. But on the other side, dozens of taxis passed by wearing national flags on their cars. Actually, there were over 500 taxis wearing national flags patrolling the city on Friday. But you know but we know that we are seeing a divided Hong Kong because on one hand, there is a group of the protesters which are mainly constituted by students, by white-collar workers, by financial workers, and by people working in the media industry. So they have a regular income from their parents, from the government, or from a very strong company. So their salaries, their income won't be immediately affected by the coming economic recession, possibly. But on the other hand, those people who support the government, who support the police, are the people who are working in the lower classes, like the taxi drivers, the people working in the catering business. They are the people who are affected the most. So we can see that a strong opposition between the two sides. But you know that I see that there are lots of people later that night near the Central. Some protesters jumped off the sidewalk to the streets, stopped the taxis, and ripped the national flags off their cars and threw them on the streets. So, Lawrence, we know that it's a crime of defacing national flags in Hong Kong. So what will be their penalty?
Well, to rip the national flag off a taxi by force, the rioters at least committed two types of offences. First is the under Section 7 of the National Emblem and National Flag and National Emblem Ordinance. Anybody who publicly and willfully burning, mutilating, scrawling on, defiling or trampling on the national flag is guilty of a crime punishable by 3 years imprisonment. For those people who actually rip the flag off the taxi and throw it down on the ground so that the taxi run over the national flag or people step on the national flag is a natural and direct consequences of the action of ripping the flag off the taxi and throw it onto the ground. So this is definitely amount to commission of crime under Section 7 of the Ordinance. Now the second offence would be under Section 60 of the Crimes Ordinance, which anyone who, without lawful excuse, destroy or damages property that belongs to others is a crime. That is punishable by a maximum of 10 years imprisonment.
We know that the protesters also harassed the taxi drivers and also stopped passing by cars. Is that also a crime?
Yes, that's criminal intimidation as well as the unlawful assembly too, because any free people gathered together which disrupted the peace and enjoyment of people in the community and caused people to be fear of their actions amount to unlawful assembly. And these people, without police permission to assemble together, committed a crime against a taxi driver by way of an unlawful assembly.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Back to you, Pantong.
Thank you very much. Our reporter Go Yunfei in Hong Kong. Still focusing on the city, Greenville Cross, Hong Kong's Director of Public Prosecutions from 1997 to 2009, says the Hong Kong police have been acting with great restraint in dealing with the protests compared to police in some Western countries.